What indeed prompted the establishment of a commission on free higher education? Is free higher education feasible in South Africa? Will the commission be able to put a stop to annual tuition fee hikes at tertiary institutions? Who is likely to foot the bill for a free fee higher education? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedi. Following a number of protests by tertiary students last year, President Jacob Zuma initiated a process to investigate the feasibility of a free higher education. The University Fee Commission was put in place and it started its public consultations in Pretoria today. The commission will hear recommendations from academics, student groups, as well as government representatives. The commission says it has received over 140 written recommendations from various stakeholders in the higher education and training sector. Respondents are given an opportunity to make oral submissions before the commission. The hearings are expected to be held in other parts of the country in due course. We are live, and if you can call us. The numbers to dial 089-1104-210. If you're outside the borders, 002-789-1104-210. Our Twitter handle at question time 24. My guest today, Fasiha Hassan. She's the Secretary General of the Vet Student Representative Council. And Nkosinathi Maluleke is the Chairperson of the Transformation Committee at the Health Faculty at Vets as well. And joining us from our Tshwane studio is Musa Ndwande. He's the spokesperson for the Fees Commission. Let me welcome you all. Musa, let me start with you there in Pretoria. How would you describe the first day and perhaps just briefly outline the mandate as well?
Thank you, Mpho. Quite an eventful day today. From the Commission side, we are pleased that we could kick off the public hearings. The public hearings are a culmination of a lot of work that has been done behind the scenes. You must remember, in terms of the statutory mandate, the Commission had to look at all the other pieces of legislation, the reports, the recommendations of the past and present. It had to process all that and at the same time process the written submissions. By the way, the figure is now around 200, Mpho. Okay. By the time we closed the deadline on the written submissions, we had received 180, but we continue to receive supplementary submissions. So all of that had to be processed, and we had to structure the commission. So as I say, we were happy today to have kicked it off with our major stakeholders, the students.
Okay. Now, first, you, although you are the Secretary General at VETS, you are also part of the South African Union of Students. Yeah. And SAUS made a presentation today, and their presentation was very radical. Cut the president's payments, cut the, you want a lot of salaries cut, and including the Vice Chancellor's payments and all that. Just talk to us about that.
So yes, in addition to being the WITS SRC SJ, I'm also the Deputy Secretary of SAUS, the South African Union of Students. Okay. We had made a written submission to the Presidential Task Team after consultation with various SRCs after the NEC meeting. And today really was us formally presenting our ideas and our vision really of what we want higher education to be. And yes, we have taken on a very radical stance in that for us, higher education and the reform thereof must be the #1 priority in the country for us. The fact of the matter is that 1 in 2 people in South Africa are under the age of 25. We have a very young population. Yeah. We have incredibly high amounts of unemployment in terms of unemployment rates and percentages. And the fact of the matter is that we're not upskilling the youth as much as we should. And it's not just university, it's also TVETs, it's vocational skills. But the fact of the matter is that we're not upskilling and we're not providing education in a sense that we can really uplift this country using it. So for us, it's not a question of can we afford free education? Can we afford not to afford free education? And it's not just us making the call and being radical. We've done the research. We've put forward a submission. We're in the process of looking at numbers and budgets. And the fact of the matter is that free education, at least for the poor at this point, is very much possible in the Republic of South Africa.
Where is the money coming from?
There's various ways we can do it, but I think there's two main elements that we must acknowledge. The first is that we need to reprioritize spending, so it's not just about throwing money at the system. At the moment, we're spending about 0.8% of GDP on higher education, and that's incredibly low in comparison to international standards, where it's around 2%. So that's the one thing. But the second thing, and I think maybe this is the more important element, is there needs to be political will. Not just from the state, but from universities, from students, from the private sector. Essentially, for us to envision and for us to realize free and quality education, it's going to require every single stakeholder to come to the party.
Where in the world is there free education?
So the model that we've looked at, and it's something that we acknowledge, that free and quality, we must always include quality, is a marathon, the realization thereof. Ultimately, one day we want to have free and quality education for all. But at the first point of call, we must provide for those who don't have. So when we talk about free education for the poor, who do we mean? We're talking about students who are currently under the NSFAS system, which unfortunately, because of the means test, is very problematic. But it also includes the missing middle, which over the last few years in particular, we've neglected. So that is the first priority that we've looked at. And we've mentioned a few things. We've talked about cuts in state wages. We've looked at the youth break tax. So we're also looking at a corporate tax, like a youth development kind of an idea, in which the private sector contributes directly into the development of young people.
Musa, what is going to happen once you have had all these submissions? Are your recommendations binding, or are you just going to make recommendations back to the president?
Yes, maybe before we get to the part where we can submit recommendations, we need to explain the process because the question of a fee-free education, whether it's feasible or not, cannot be answered over one meeting perhaps, or just by merely answering yes or no. There are quite a lot of other areas. So the commission is designed in such a way that it will look into all those focus areas, look into the whole post-school environment, look into the current modes of funding for both students and universities, to look into the role of government agencies and government departments, and look into the wider social, economical and financial implications of a fee-free higher education. So after that, we can then ask and unpack the question, what is a fee-free education? Is it only relating to tuition? Is it only, or it involves the whole cost of studying, transport, accommodation, recreation, and all other expenses that students have to pay for? Okay. So from our side, the task is still formidable, but we are happy that we have started, and we must thank all the stakeholders who have been part of this, because we think that by the time we make the recommendations, we will have understood the issues. But coming to your question, the recommendations we will present to the president. He will decide if he finds anything useful in it.
Okay. Nkosinathi Maluleke, you are the chairperson of the Transformation Committee at the Health Faculty, right, at Wits.
Yes, sir.
And your faculty students actually have been accused of being sellouts. You were not part of the whole Mzabalazo all along. Sometimes, you know, you actually labeled special kids of some sort, in that you don't toy, but it appears you have taken a different tune now.
Look, I think to go back to what you are saying about being sellout, we did participate in the toys, the fees must fall protests. We did shut down Wits Medical School as students, vet students. So we were participating. not as active because of our geographical location being separated from the main campus. But we must get into a process of self-determination as a people and define the space where we are in as public as it is, because what has pushed us into a protest at this point in time is the fact that we can no longer breathe. There have been injustices, especially at medical school. Actually, they call it the super school, because of the fact that these things are existing and the student has not spoken out. So we are in a process of speaking out. It's not that injustices have not been happening. Injustices have been happening, but the student was not engaging.
So are you saying that you are as affected by the fees struggle as all the other Wits students?
Yes, of course. I mean, Wits medical health sciences faculty, when Wits university increases the fees by 10%, we get a 12% increase. So we are the most affected, by the way.
You are special. A reminder that you can call us and lay your views indeed on the numbers that are on the screen there, 089-110-4210. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking your calls. Perhaps you are at whatever university, or you are a parent or a South African who's got a view on the subject. Fees must fall.
Do you need a funeral policy?
Joy is found in the little things.
Ke ho phedisa, ho fepa le ho hodisa.
Ukuba ibone ukuvela kwethuba lalokho okungenzeka.
And being there when one journey ends and another begins.
'n Idee van die klein dingetjies wat kosbare herinneringe word.
Life is the gift of growing new memories each day.
So that our loved ones can preserve them after we are no longer here.
Life is a gift to us.
Since 1918, AVBOB has comforted and supported South African families in their time of need.
Protecting their loved ones' memories with respect and dignity.
Plus, committed and trusted funeral representatives
With more than 250 branches nationwide.
There for you every hour of every day.
AVBOB provides a complete funeral service solution for everyone, even if you're not an AVBOB policyholder.
Make sure your family comes first. Always. AVBOB. We're here for you.
If you would like AVBOB to call you about a new policy, SMS family and your name to 41790.
You see this, but you feel this. You see this, but this is what you feel. You don't see this, but it feels something like this. And this is what you drive. The Audi A4 110 kilowatt Sport from only 5,999 per month. And we'll cover almost 3/4 of the deposit.
It's Macro's 45th Big Birthday Bash, and our gift to you is big savings. Get the Samsung 55-inch Smart SUHD TV for only 16,999, save 5,000 Rand. Or the Russell Hobbs stainless steel food processor, only 899, save 700 Rand. And save 500 Rand on the Tefal 7-piece non-stick cookware set, now only 999. Get these and many other great deals in store and online with Macro's Big Birthday Bash. Macro, big on life.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today, Fasiha Hassan. She's the Secretary General at VETS SRC, but also from the South African Union of Students. And Gosnat Malek is the chairperson at VETS of the Transformation Committee at the Health Faculty. Whereas from our Tshwane Studios, Musando Andwe is the spokesperson for the Fees Commission. But on the line we have Francois. Francois, you are in the Eastern Cape. Welcome.
Good evening, Paul, and your guests there. How are you doing?
We are well. Thanks for the call, Francois.
Good, good. Paul, one thing I'd like to know.
Yes.
Or would I say first that I think the students are right in, what they were doing, demanding free education. These must fall. Reasons being, as far as I can recall, when the government came into power, it was said, free education for all. Now, if you say that, then later on, this is not something that just popped up now, and the students woke up one morning and, they went out there wildly and, protesting and things like that. Yeah. Now, I'd like to know, why all of a sudden there is now bickering here and there? Some must pay, some others, while it was said free education means to me free education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fasiha, perhaps let me just allow you to respond to that. I know it's not a question directed at you, but is this what propels you guys that indeed education, the doors of learning and culture shall be open?
I think the speaker who just elaborated on, I think is very, very on point. It is about opening up access, but it's not just financial access. And I think it was perhaps alluded to by the spokesperson.
Yes.
That when we talk about opening up access to higher education, it's about holistic support. It's about ensuring that the person who walks in to start first year at a university walks out 3 or 4 years later with a degree. And what we really mean by that is that we want to provide support on all levels: financial, academic, accommodation, food security, emotional support, because the fact is that the basic education system as it is not preparing people to walk into tertiary education. And then there are other elements, particularly in the student movement around decolonization, which speak about owning the space, owning the spaces as black bodies in institutions of higher learning, issues of language policy. When we talk free education, people think it's purely financial, and that's not entirely true.
Butani, you are in Polokwane. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mpo, for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Now, Mpo, there are a lot of avenues that our government can do. The lack is the political will. We can have SARS to tax for educational tax. If people are prepared to buy booze for 12,000 rand for a weekend, then SARS must say, guys, from each and every bottle that you buy, we are going to take so many cents and contribute it to the educational system. Number two, NSFAS. As a former student of University of Limpopo, there has never been anyone who comes to me and say, Morena, NSFAS took you to school, pay back NSFAS. That system has collapsed. The recovery of NSFAS money has collapsed. And thirdly, the cream of the matter is the political will. If our leaders today, 20 years down the line, they still form a commission to ask, is it possible, is it viable for South Africa to have free education? Why that question now? Because the students shut down education last year, and 20 years later we have got commission. It will be very upset of us to expect positive results from the commission. I think now the students have it. They must go back to the president and say, SARS, they must tax. If they tax us levy on fuel, they must tax for student levy as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Butani. Musa, let me just come to you there. And by the way, there's word of another commission which is looking at fee increment for next year. You are not that commission, are you?
No, certainly we are not looking into fee increments. I think that is the competency of the Department of Higher Education and Training.
Okay.
But I speak under correction. For us, the role really is the feasibility of a fee-free. I think what we need to add is that we've been listening to presentations today from opposing ends. Those who say we need fees and those who say we don't need fees. But all of those positions agree that there needs to be a reform of the current system. So for us, I think the key is to identify where the funding should come from.
Okay.
It's not a question of whether we want or we don't want. There are issues on the table and they are clear. They say people cannot afford higher education. The focus really from our side is to find those alternative sources of funding.
Okay. Sfiso, you are in eThekwini. Welcome.
Thank you so much. This is Sfiso speaking. Actually, I'm not Waterloo. And the challenge and the truth is that this issue of the free education, actually the higher education, it was brought by the ANC itself. And it saw it being feasible at the time when it said so. And I'm not sure why it says today it's not feasible, you know.
Okay.
And secondly, in order to be able to eradicate poverty, you need to ensure that you invest in young people by skilling them, you know. And we understand that we need to redress the past imbalances.
Okay, Sfiso.
Due to the fact that we were not provided with proper education before.
All right.
And that imbalance can only be done through providing proper education and talking about university education and also FET and all other, you know, forms of skilling people.
Thank you very much, Sfiso, for that call. Nkosinathi, let me come to you. Just briefly, paint me a picture of what you, as a black student at WITS, at the Faculty of Health, is going through.
Look, the faculty is fundamentally racist. We have said it so many times and we'll say it again. And we have evidence to prove this.
Well, how?
For instance, you are in your clinical years, 5th and 6th years. It is a taboo for a black-bodied student to get more than 70%. It is a taboo for a white-bodied student to get less than 70%.
Why?
We are conducting a study as students because we are taking ourselves seriously. We are going to conduct a study into that specifically to find out why is these things happening. It's either they are saying that the black student is dumb or either that the system in itself is fundamentally racist. And we are going to prove that through a study that we are conducting. So the faculty in its nature has not been kind to students of color particularly. Even in these issues that we're striking for today of exclusions, it was all black students and one Indian student to showcase that these things are fundamentally racist. You know?
And just to add on, the fact is that the system is structurally racist. And we'll give you another example. A student who walks in from rural Eastern Cape into Wits University is now being taught in a language that is probably third or fourth to them. They're now in a city they know nothing about. There's no formal support. Maybe they got NSFAS, perhaps they were lucky enough to do it, but that doesn't always cover everything. It doesn't necessarily cover accommodation. It's not really enough for your monthly expenditure. As a young woman, a lot of women don't have enough money for toiletries, for sanitary towels. And this is the lived reality of people of color in institutions of higher learning. It's not just WITS. So when we say structural racism, it is within the system and on a daily basis that we're actually exposed to. But if I could lastly, just to speak on these two commissions.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. There's the presidential one, which we've heard about. But there is also a ministerial task team that is currently investigating a proposed fee increment, possibly, for 2017. And we have made our position very, very clear as SAUS and the student movement that we will reject any and all forms of fee increment until the realization of free education, and especially not while the commission is still completing its work.
Okay. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I'm going to talk to our producers that we must get you back here, probably with the vets management as well, because these are very serious allegations you're coming up with, which need to be really put to the test. Okay, thank you very much. That was question time for today, and have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.